Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lighthouse Torah Project. I'm Avram and welcome to a new class that might become a series if the material holds out and if we hold out. But this is a class I'm calling the Harvest of Torah because we just went through, of course, the holy festival of Shavuot. We received the Torah again. And when we received the Torah, it's not just the Torah that other people have spoken and written and published and shared, but rather, when you receive the Torah, you're receiving a part of you. Now, you might not be able to translate that. You might not know how it's coming down. You might not know how it appears in your consciousness. But this is the truth, and this is why we pray several times a day. Give us your our portion and your Torah. Now, 30-something years ago, I used to walk around the streets of LA wondering, what's with these religious people, What's with them? Here I am. I'm a newly religious person. I'm trying to get this Torah thing, it's a very hard religion. It's a very big religion. It's huge. It's the big leagues. Judaism is the big leagues. And I'm getting these new ideas from Torah learning, and I talk to people about them, and they don't want to hear anything from me. Okay, I can take it. Little humility goes a long way, but I still, wait a minute, you guys don't want to hear my Torah, fine, because who am I? Fine. But it says you're praying every day, give us our portion of the Torah. What are you talking about? Is it a vain prayer? Am I just saying words? I don't believe that. I didn't believe that then. So I remember I was sitting I was standing at the back wall of my sister's house in the garden. I was davening, and I'm saying, what is this about? This, our portion and your Torah. And if I said, if God speaks through the great sages, wonderful, I believe that. And if I'm connected by some long distance chain of command to God, that requires me to keep his mitzvot, well, then shouldn't I have some long distance chain of command of his Torah? And I really thought this way. I just reasoned it out that we have a portion in his Torah and we're praying for it. Now, whether, like I said before, if it's conscious, if you know it, if you write it down, if it's part of you, okay, that's all depends on how we respond. But it suddenly clicked with me that the Torah Shebaal Peh, the Talmud, 3,000 pages plus maybe 100,000 pages of commentary, those were all people that grew up one day. They woke up in Cheder, they woke up in Talmud Torah in the middle of Jerusalem or Syria or Baghdad or wherever they were born, or Poland, or, they had to start somewhere. And they worked at it enough until they also wrote books of new insights in Torah. Now, I didn't set out to write books. I just wanted to understand what they're teaching me and why the people around me are like not so excited about it, because I got excited about it. And the truth is, I'm still excited about it. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm teaching this. And that's why I have a feeling that we're going to have more than one class on these ideas, because Reb Nachman has a whole book of ideas about Tein Helkenu B'Torah Techa, learning about Chidushei Torah, new insights in the Torah, writing your own Torah, expressing, sharing. This is what we're here for. We are part of the Torah Shebaal Peh. It's not an old book. It is a continuously written book. We are part of the oral Torah. We are part of that tradition. And if we're not, then somebody's lying to somebody. That's the way I felt. And I get passionate about it because I tell you, not only the Jews were in exile 2,000 years, my friends, the Torah was in exile 2,000 years. And part of our job is to bring the Torah out of exile. And I think this is one of the ways that we might accomplish that. And it's also a wonderful thing to feel part of God's Torah and to have new insights. And look, I've had things that I thought were insights and I was all excited about it. And I went, of course, I'm in a yeshiva. People know the thing by heart. They know thousands of pages of Torah. And they'll say, oh, yeah, some other rabbi said that already. Now, I didn't feel bad about that. I felt good. Oh, some other rabbi had this thought. I didn't see it written in his name. It just came to me, meaning that my soul connected with his soul somehow, and I got the same idea. So it doesn't have to be new, never said or spoken in the world. It could have been spoken by some great rabbi or rebbitzin thousands of years ago, but somehow you picked it up on the antenna and it came into your consciousness and it's new to you. And the most important thing is that it renews you. New insights in Torah are not just ideas on pages, speeches in shul. New insights of Torah renew us in our service, and that's what God likes. And if we look through Reb Nachman's books in Likutei Eitzot, Sefer Midot, he has, I think it's like 60 entries just about Torah learning. Now, not all of them are about Chidushei Torah, the new ideas in Torah, but it is quite compelling when we understand it this way. And it doesn't matter how much you know. It matters how much you're excited, how much you're enthusiastic. And look, knowing Hebrew and Aramaic is going to help you a lot, because a lot of the Chidushim come out of the holy letters. The holy concepts is the way they're given to us by people like Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai and Eliyahu Navi, because they're the ones who renewed the Torah over and over, and the Arizal and the Baal Shem Tov. But even if you just learn in English, you know what? You can have many, many great insights. And even if they're not insights of Torah, they might be insights of your own life. In the form of Torah, in the framework of being part of this great nation, this awesome nation, the Jewish people. Because the folks, we're awesome because of the Torah. We're not awesome because we won Pulitzer Prizes given to us by people who invented dynamite to blow up the world. Sorry. We're awesome because of the Torah. We're not awesome because of Hollywood and how many, Oscars we've won per capita. The Torah is what makes us awesome. And I don't care how religious you are either. If you can meet many non-religious, totally secular people who they have minds that work like sages' minds. They're just focused in other areas like, the New York Stock Exchange or the commodities exchange in Chicago, wherever. But the mindset is coming from somewhere. It's coming from right here in the holy books that we've been given as gifts. Okay. So that's one little introduction. There'll probably be a few others. I'll calm down, don't worry. But remember this, prayer. Remember, when you pray a prayer, live it. Don't just say the words. Expect something from your prayers. Especially when it comes to things like Torah and Avat Hashem and Avat Yisrael and Yirat Shemayim. Those are prayers that God's supposed to want to answer. And he does, and he will. But if I'm just cruising through the siddur, I'm on autopilot in davening, then, it doesn't send a very good message above. So no autopilot, folks. You got to put the pedal to the metal. Now, we're going to start. There's many Torahs, and I've already sifted out about 8 or so of them, and we're not going to learn the whole context of the Torahs that these particular teachings appear in. Because a lot of times in one of the Rebbe's Torahs, you'll get 8 or 10 concepts that each could be its own book. We're going to try to build with a direction of understanding ourselves, understanding the tzaddik and how his Torahs impact the world and impact us, and how we're part of that. Okay? So, with all that said, we're going to start with a place you might not have seen before. It's a surprising Torah. It's in Tinyana, the second section, the 21st Torah, if you want to look it up. It's short. It's sweet. Well, I don't know how sweet it is. Depends, I guess. I think that's what Jackie Gleason said in Miami Beach. Well, some of you were in Miami. You might remember that, how sweet it is. Well, there's nothing as sweet as the Torah of the Tzaddik. Torah 21 starts like this. Torah. When new Torah insights are coming down to you. Now he'll explain in another place that new insights of Torah are like rivers. Once you open the dam, the river doesn't necessarily stop right away. We'll get there. When a person is having new Torah insights, now we speak scriptically. Now there are those who are known. Now what does that mean? Those who are known. It's like those guys. And you're supposed to know who they're talking about. Those guys, hamistaklim, they're gazing. That must mean they have eyes. Mitzapim, and they're waiting for, looking forward to, al zeh, on new Torah insights. Aha. They're gazing and they're waiting for. Who is this? You know, is this the KGB of anti-Chidushei Torah? Well, I think we'll figure it out in a line or two. But we need to put soldiers, warriors, and to put them before us and after us. Okay, now we're talking about soldiers that are Anshe Chayil. In order that a stranger will not come close. What kind of stranger is this? Somebody who's not Jewish? Someone you've never met before? Well, limud aposkim. How do you put up these soldiers in front of you and behind you to protect your new Torah insights? By learning the codes of law. Now there are, of course, the major codes of law, but there are many books written for many people at many levels in many languages. We must put up la'amid, to stand up these warriors who are learning poskim. Who are this? Who are these people? Are they people? That we need to learn poskim, learn laws of Torah before we bring down new insights. Well, it makes, by learning the books of laws, cut and dry laws of Torah practice, we create these soldiers that are milifnehem v'acharehem, and they're before you and after you. V'haTorah yoredet olechet pneihem lebetach. And then the Torah comes down and goes between them, this learning of poskim lebetach, in surety, in safety. Ki anshe chayil, because these soldiers omdim him im klei zayin, with weapons of war. Ve'enam yicholim elu litkarev. And these things that we still haven't defined, they're called the Yiduim, the ones who are known, they can't come close. Well, I don't think we're talking about Hamas over here, because I don't think Hamas is too interested in Chiddushei Torah. And these folks are waiting and listening for them. So I'm sure that we've stretched out the drama enough. That we're talking about spiritual forces, spiritual entities that are designed to block or to grab onto insights of Torah and turn and reshape them, deform them, exaggerate them. Now, the Rebbe calls them Yuduim. Rebbe Nachman lived in a time where they knew what demons were. They knew what spirits were. They knew what negative entities were. They had the Baal Shem Tov stories, right? Back in first grade. Atheism hadn't infected the world like it has today. The disbelief, the making God a persona non grata, that we don't mention his name. They weren't there yet. People had faith, no matter what level of faith it was at. And no matter what religion, there was a lot of faith. And, I'm sure witch stories and etc. were not too novel to the ear of the 19th century. However, I started with this Torah because I want us to understand where we're going. Chiddushei Torah are new sparks of God in the world. They cannot come down without klipot accompanying them. This is the nature of the entire structure of the universe. Any time something good comes along, something negative comes along. And sometimes it's the negative first and then the good. So we have to kind of acclimate ourselves to this balance of good and evil, this concept that anytime a new light, a new idea, a new Torah, a new invention, there's going to be opposition. There's going to be falsifiers. There's going to be charlatans, fakers, okay? That are going to try to block this renewal of Torah. So how do we protect the Torah? Let's say you're a person who has an idea. You're davening on Shabbos. This often happens to people. You're davening on Shabbos. Shabbos is a special time. It's an easier time to have access to new Torah insights. And then you make a mental note. Oh, I'm going to write this down after Shabbos. I'm going to record it into my phone. Havdalah comes and goes, sitting there having your little tea. And you're like, wait, I had this idea. What was that idea? I want to write that down. Wait a minute. And it's gone. Now you should know there's a general principle in Torah and especially in Kabbalah that if you have a new and true insight, you're not going to forget it. It's part of your soul. You cannot forget a part of you. Okay? It might be hidden. It might, I give a lot of classes. I forget things on the way and then they come back to me. because I know that they're there. They're just gotta, they're dusty. they're in the bottom of the New York City library. So they gotta come out, but they do. So understand that the Torah insights, Rabbi Nachman says they're higher than prophecy. Whoa, wait a minute. Now, this is in another place. We'll get there, hopefully over the coming weeks. But I just bring that now to emphasize, again, the realm that we're entering. The Torah is prophecy, first of all. But there are many levels of prophecy, many. Prophecy for your kids, for your future, for your family, for your company, for your country. There's many levels. God sees all history as one. But Torah is not just what's going to happen to Wayne or to Nadamu or to Juliet. Seems to be the name there. Or to Abraham. The Torah is God's inspiration in his own book. Okay? And the joy that he gets when we bring down new ideas is tremendous. Now think about that for a minute. Baruch Hashem, I have children and grandchildren, and when you watch kids grow, it's quite an amazing process if you pay attention. How they begin to speak and how they begin to form words and ideas, and they connect sounds and ideas together, and then their alphabet expands, and then their vocabulary expands, and you see like a person, their mind is being born in front of you. And then you say something and then they repeat it. What? You get a little zip of joy. Now, is that vanity because your grandkid repeats something you said? Not necessarily. But what if they take something you say and make something new from it? You don't think that gives you a little bit of joy? A little zip that your son, and Michael, you did a bar mitzvah recently, Mazel Tov. You see your son is going up to the Torah and he's saying words of Torah. It's just a type of joy that you can't buy it anywhere else. And so how much more so the creator of the universe, who created the universe with Torah, when we're part of that Torah, and you come up with a little new idea. So never, ever discount your ideas. You don't know. You don't know if they were said before or not, and you don't even know if they're true or not. But you write them down, and then you share them with the right people who can help you, people who are learned and can guide you and direct you in your ideas. And don't forget about becoming a sage and publishing 20 books. No, wouldn't it be beautiful if your grandchild had a book of your Torah insights that they read to their grandchildren? Here's grandpa's book. Isn't that cool? Isn't that nice? Isn't that a connection? That seems to me worth it, more worth it than, having your name on the back of a book. Okay? So the first Torah we learned, Torah Kaf Aleph of the second section of Likutei Moharan, that we need to learn poskim before we bring down new ideas. Now, we're not setting out, by the way, this class is not designed for us to start making new Torah ideas. They might come and they might not come. That's up to all of us. And of course, that depends on Hashem as well, as is understood. But because sometimes you get this new idea and you want to write it down, as we said, like a Motzi Shabbat, you want to write something down. But what he's saying here is that learn the laws, whatever laws that you know, learn them, learn new laws, because they help ground us and guard us from these forces of forgetfulness, the forces of exaggeration, the tendency to fib or to embellish, which people can have very easily. and because we want it to be straight and true and pure as it is. Okay, so with all that said, though, I figured let's learn a couple of halachot. We'll put up some soldiers around us in case somebody comes down with some new idea tonight. We don't know. We've got time. So new halachot. Let's learn some halachot. Something important that we might have learned recently. If anybody of you have something you want to share, share it, write it down. You can chat it or open your mic. I guess it's okay. Mike, you got to open the mic. But halacha that came down today was unfortunately and sadly a real life situation where we had a person, a non-Jew, masquerading as a rabbi in Jerusalem recently. Some of you might have heard of it. It's not just an innocent thing. It's not a little Purim party, Halloween, where a non-Jew dresses up as a rabbi, because this guy learned Torah. He learned a lot, and he learned how to do Brit Milas, and he learned how to write Safrut, and he learned how to make marriages. And the mezuzot he wrote are pasul. They're not kosher. So a person that bought them might think that his house is guarded, and it's not. And a person who got a Brit Milah from such a person needs to go visit a Moel. And a person who made such a marriage, who had this fellow make a marriage, his marriage is not marriages. Now, there are three ways Masechet Kiddushin teaches us that a man can acquire a wife, and one is through a contract, a shtar, or just giving money. Generally and traditionally, it was to the father of the bride, but it also can mean if they have relations. Okay. So those are interesting halachas, but the real question that popped into my head, if this guy made a marriage to a woman, a Jewish woman, and she has children with her husband, if that woman was married before and she got a get, so now she's single, she's permissible, that's fine. The children are going to be kosher children. But if the marriage that this guy performed, it's not a marriage, then it creates more problems if that couple doesn't work out. Right? There's an issue. Because by being with the second man, she cannot go back to her first husband if suddenly they fall in love again. And obviously, if there's Kohanim involved, it's more complicated. So these are just some halachic ideas that we were talking about in the Beit Midrash today. And apparently this fellow who was uncovered as a missionary by Yad La'achim, who are really righteous people here in Eretz Yisrael, and I guess they work outside Eretz Yisrael as well to uncover missionaries, because they prey on the Jews that are not so strong in their practice and in their ability to keep Judaism. Well, this fellow had a friend who actually ate dinner at a friend of mine's house once. And this friend suddenly disappeared off the map. And so everybody's wondering about him now. So you see, it's not simple to be a Jew, an Orthodox Jew, especially nowadays. And we have to be very careful. We learned some laws now, so let's move on with our exploration of the idea of Chidushim, of new Torah insights from Rabbi Nachman. The next piece we're going to learn is the Torah I mentioned, it's Likutei Moran 262, Reish Samach Bet, which is near the end of the first Sefer. Listen to what he says. It's beautiful. Sha'al Yidei Hitchadshut Torah. By renewing the Torah, Na'aseh Naharot, we create rivers. Rivers. Where are these rivers? Ki Kishematchil Lechadesh b'Torah. When a person begins to see new insights in Torah learning, it could be Gematriot, it could be Rashi Tevot, it could be people's names that you remember from other places in Tanakh. Azai Matchil Linvoa Ma'ayan. When that process of making Chidushim starts, a spring, a river opens up, and it starts to flow. This is the Bechina from Sefer Yoel, Amayan Mibeit Hashem Yetzei. A spring will come out from the house of God. And of course, this is talking about a river, and I'll tell you an amazing true story about this. And I give you permission to repeat it. But with a grain of salt, maybe a big bag of salt. No. Amayan Mibeit Hashem Yetzei. That a flowing river is going to come out of the Beit HaMikdash. But there is no Beit HaMikdash. But Beit Hashem can also mean Har HaBayit. So several years back, I used to ride a motorcycle to Jerusalem every morning after delivering newspapers in Gush Etzion. And I would stop at this spring along the Wallachia Highway, which is near the Jerusalem Zoo. There's a spring coming out of the rocks. Beautiful place, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. And I would ride the motorcycle up the hill, go in the water, put on my yeshiva clothes, head off to Nahar Shalom. Nice way to start the day after throwing this ridiculous left-wing newspaper. Sorry to anybody who's left-wing, but it was. I couldn't read it. I tried. I couldn't. It was just, when something's skewed, you could get entertainment value out of it just because but it's not nice when it's your own people. Whatever. That's not the point of the story. So what happens is I'm up there on the hillside actually that morning I didn't take the motorcycle, I had a car. That is correct. I have to correct myself. This Arab riding a donkey comes up the hill to me out of the nowhere. I'm talking about a deserted mountainside surrounded by mist, early in the morning. This Arab comes up the hillside on a donkey and he smiles at me, and he's a pretty, a sharp looking guy. He doesn't look like the donkey, and he gets off, he ties the donkey to a tree, and he asks me straight up, can I get a ride to Jerusalem? I'm like, what? Usually in the territories, we're taught not to pick up, Arab hitchhikers. Not a good practice usually. But this guy, it was just like this glow was about him, this sweetness. I'm being honest. And I didn't care, I wasn't afraid physically. And so I said, sure. So this guy gets in the car, we drive to Jerusalem, we start talking. I don't know how the subject came up, but Har HaBayit came up, where, of course, the Kippat HaSela is the dome of the rock, which covers over the Akedah, the rock of Even HaShti'ah, the most central part of the universe, where the Zohar says the entire physical world emanated from that rock. And we know there's all kinds of traditions about that rock. And it's under this golden dome that the Muslims have stewardship. It's a nice word, right? And of course, down the block there, along the plain over there, you have the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is where I guess Muhammad started, horseback riding. Anyways, he says to me, this guy, there's water coming out of the rock. I said, what? He said, yeah, since 1967, when the Jews took back Jerusalem, he said, he's a middle-aged guy, He says, my family's been praying there every Friday for decades. We're like religious Arabs, religious. Water has been coming out of the rock. He said, so much so they called in engineers from Germany, and they had to do it secretly because they didn't want people to know. That the engineers were called in to try to find a way to stop the water, and they couldn't. He told me they would replace the carpets because they'd get all soaked, and they couldn't stop the water. And what's written in Sefer Yoel, a couple thousand years ago plus, Mayan mi beit Hashem yetzeh. Now in the Talmud, they take this prophecy and say it's going to start out like a thread of water, like the width of an insect, and then get broader to like the width of a person's finger, and then your arm, and then your leg, and it's going to end up becoming these tremendous waters are going to flow up from the basin of Jerusalem, and there's a huge aquifer. So that was exciting. And here it is. And the Rebbe comes along and says, it's not only water, it's Chidushim. Chidushim are going to come back to Am Yisrael. They are coming back. There's more books written than ever. And he tells us that this Mayan is Shehu HaSeichel. Como shekatuv in Mishlei. B'chochma yibane bayit. In wisdom, you will build a house. Now, this is the most simple advice, I guess you could imagine, for a kablan, a contractor who wants to build a house. You better use wisdom if you're going to build a house. Okay. But he's talking about building seichel, building intelligence. So wait a minute. Hold on a second. If we're talking about building a house, and building a house is really building a seichel, your intelligence, you want to build your intelligence, you have to have wisdom to become wise. You have to have wisdom to know how to build. Just like to build a house. You don't build the roof first. Unless, there's some special on roof tiles. I don't know. No, but he's saying you have to have wisdom to build our intellect. In other words, what to learn, how much to learn, with whom to learn, when to pray about your learning, to know what subjects are important to you, what subjects of Torah excite you, what subjects of Torah give you trouble, because oftentimes the greatest, renewal, or I want to say insights, might come from the places that you don't even want to learn about. The areas that bother you. There are areas of Torah that bother us. There's areas of Torah that seem chauvinistic. There's areas of Torah that seem not very PC at all, right? Well, but when you open them up, you see that it's not chauvinistic. The Torah has women's honor first in line, the most important thing. If you understand and you learn properly. And if you look at a lot of the laws that seem archaic and outdated and brutal or barbaric even, putting people to death for various things that nowadays you can't even be, charged with. Well, most of those things were never brought to trials. Adultery. How many adulterers do you think were killed? The rabbi said 1 in 70 years was called a death court. 70 years, you and I can't even remember back that far. Well, I can remember back 60, but So it wasn't like this was a common practice. But people take these teachings, these laws out of context and make the Torah look bad because that's their real agenda. Well, actually, that's the agenda of their Yetzer Hara. A person's Yetzer Tov is never against the Torah. The people who don't know, well, that's what they do. So now we were just that whole little that little digression was just about this idea of having intelligence in our learning. The seichel, he calls it, which is part of wisdom that builds the house of your mind. So it's a very interesting idea, right? The idea of building the house of your mind. It's cool. It sounds like it could be like, a Grateful Dead song. But does anybody remember them? Anyways, but this Mayan that's overflowing, he's going to give us more details now. How do we build this house? How is it built? The stream of new Torah insight starts out very thin, very small and narrow. And afterwards it gets bigger. And spreads out. Yoter and yoter. More and more. Until there are rivers created. And everyone comes to drink from those rivers. The Hasidic masters were not world famous when they were walking on this earth. They were famous in the little Jewish world that they lived in. And not everybody could read Torah documents, and not everybody had access to, who is this guy, the Baal Shem Tov? Who is this Maggid of Mezrich? They didn't know the people. The Jewish world was spread all over by then already. But now, 200 years later, they're known all over the world, and not just by Jews. And their ideas have changed the world. It just took longer than the human clock likes to work. And these are those rivers. Okay, therefore, somebody who wants to say, to find, to discover, to be renewed through new Torah insights, Doraita, the Chumash, Sheyesh Behem Mamash, that really have real chidushim, not what we call vortalach. Vortalach is where you get a little idea from something and you give it over at the Shabbos table. It sounds clever, but you haven't really done the research to track it all the way back. Because a true chidush connects the Chumash to the Zohar, to the Shulchan Aruch, all the way down the line. A true chidush holds up under every scrutiny, on every level of Torah interpretation. And, of course, has other pieces of Torah that will support it. Now, that's a chidushim doraita mamash. That's the Rebbe's language. He says a person needs to cry before such chidushim. Because when you make rivers of Torah, everybody's going to come to drink from those. And then will come the same idea we had in the previous Torah, Kaf Aleph. Here in Reish Samech Bet, we have the same idea. There are negative forces, and the other side are going to come to try to attach on. They're going to surf your river. Chas v'shalom. Lishtot gamkem masham. And they're going to want to take from your Torah and misuse it. Therefore, we need to cry to God before. And then the river, then the crying that a person does before the renewal of Torah ideas, that crying also creates a river. And this is the chinat of what Job said. Job said, "Mibechi naharot chibesh." From tears, rivers will chibesh. It's from the language of bandaging. Okay, it's a bit of a stretched metaphor, but I'm sure Job was suffering. He didn't care. Mibechi, from tears, rivers will bandage. In other words, the rivers of tears. And that's not a new idea. Cry me a river. I think that's old classic from the 50s. For anybody who, listened to their grandparents' records. Cry me a river. So that river it's not just a 50s song. It's a song from the Torah that a person, when you cry before the Chidush, it creates a river, and then that protects the person's Torah from being misused. See, it's not just that you don't want some guy who's not a tzaddik to learn to read your ideas, right? That's not a terrible thing. If somebody that just picks up your book and reads an idea he never heard before and it kind of inspires him, even though he's not on the highest level, that's a good thing, we would think. But if people take ideas and misuse them for their own purposes, it can create really terrible things in the future, which is really part of what Christianity, how it was made. Because of the people that wrote about JC and the what they created around that story. Okay, and that's the worst case example. But still, the Rebbe's telling us that the way to protect this is to create that river of tears, the chinat of what Job said, because the tears actually fix the river of the Chidush. Now, how is that? That is a profound idea. The tears, mitaken na'arot. How? Well, he goes on. Umisham shotim dai sipukam kolaklipo. What happens is, it's pretty outrageous mystical vision here. The external forces drink not from the chidush, they drink from your tears, and they get satisfied. Now that sounds like what? The external forces, the forces of sheker, exaggeration, manipulation, they come to your Torah to find new ideas that they can twist people's minds with. But if they come first to a river of tears, they drink that. But it's really talking about the fact that when you cry to God, you sweeten the negative forces. You remove them from your heart, because that's where they start out in this world. And so by crying, we actually purify our hearts, and that purifies the river of the new Torah insight. And after you make those rivers, the new Torah insights come down. And then you can draw them down only to the places that you need to bring them down. Now, I trust for a lot of this very Torah, which has been around for 200 years plus, as actually might be a new insight to all of us as we're sitting here learning it. But the Rebbe's insights are to teach us about insights and what to do about this. That's because we don't want the people that will abuse the Torah. And it's not ironic, isn't it, that I mentioned this missionary that was uncovered in Jerusalem recently, because that's exactly what we're talking about. The missionary who's masquerading as a Jew and as a rabbi and as a mohel and as a wedding maker, he's going to wreak havoc with these Torahs. He's going to impress people that he's the real deal. It's not a joke. But sometimes I have to joke because it's so sad. Anyways, so we bring these down, but with the tears, again, the external forces are sweetened and washed away. Then the new Torah can flow. But alken, therefore, chibur halachot lechidushim nekra masechet. And now he tells us another insight, that the reason that the sages used the word masechet for a folio, I guess that's the fancy English, of Masechet Shabbat, Masechet Kiddushin, Masechet Eruvin, etc. Why that language of Masechet? Because if you look at the word, you see there are roots in here. In this word Masechet, you can see the word for Sach, Mechaseach, covering over. Let's see what he goes with. Shikuvai bebechi masachti. This is from Tehillim. King David said, I covered over with my tears my those who shikuvai, that well, it's for people who corrupted or attempted to corrupt King David and to bring evil upon his house, his family. I covered them over. These people. We need to cover over a drink in tears. Now, mashke usually means drink. Could be watering as well. Needs to be covered over. It reminds me of the halacha that when you put drinks away in your refrigerator or leave them out overnight, if on the table, for example, they need to be covered. And not just because of the Pashat halacha says because a snake might come drink from them, or something poisonous or something impure might get in them, but it's also because if some liquid is open overnight, the negative spirits that are lurking, if you will, can attach themselves to liquids. Because we need to cry beforehand. And this is the covering. And now we understand a whole new teaching about this famous verse from Tehillim Kuf Lamed Zayin 137, Al Naharot Bavel. On the rivers of Bavel, remember those rivers? Sham Yashavnu, there we sat down, Gam Bachinu, and there we cried. Zeh Bechinat Talmud Bavli. This is the idea of the Talmud Bavli, Shenaseh Etzel HaYeshivot, which was made by the original yeshivot of Surah and Pumbedita, Shemehem Nasim Narot, because they created rivers of Torah that we still learn today. V'zeu gam bechinu, and this is also the idea of we cried, ki tzarich livkot mikodim, because we need to cry before these rivers are going to come out in the shikuva v'bechi masachti, and then we cover over with tears all those negative forces. Okay, and that completes that Torah. Well, we're covering ground, folks, and my eyelids are getting heavier. Very good. We'll put a check by that one, because this is going to go on, and you'll see that there's a pattern and there is wisdom hidden in these teachings that will appear later. And you see already that there's parallel thinking and thoughts between the Torahs. Okay. So the question is now, should we yawn, or should we meditate, or should we keep learning, or maybe we should all pray? 1, 2, 3, pray. Hashem, help us learn your Torah. Help us bring new ideas to your Torah that bring you joy. Because that's what it's really about. What greater thing could you do with your life than make God happy? Really, think about it. So usually at this point in our evening, we do a meditation. But I think I would like to try something a little different that I do once in a while. And that is that we should write our own prayer, your own personal prayer. Have a piece of paper, you have your iPhone, whatever you would like to use. And let's take a few minutes, just a few minutes, and I'll make an outline and make it easier for us. And this appears in my book, hopefully it's going to be out soon, The Path of Personal Prophecy, which there are 6 stages to prayer. The first, you can write these down, it's important. The first is praise of God. It has nothing to do with you, it's all about him. The second is thanking him. That has to do with you. You're thanking him for things he did for you. The third is telling God your problem and what you need help with, or what you need. Whatever it might be. So that might look like, God, I have debts, I need help me pay my debts. That might be, God, I'm tired of being single, help me, send me the true other half of my soul. Whatever it is, it might be smaller than that. It might be, God, I don't know what to do after this class tonight in, Los Angeles. It's not so fun out there anymore at the cafes, I hear. Okay, after you frame, this is what I call framing your prayer with what you need. You tell them about it, then you ask for it. And, there should be emotional continuity, which means that you don't scream for a new dress, or a new car. We ask for a new car, but for healing, you could scream. For saving somebody's life, you better scream. So that's the asking stage. Then there's the, this is an important, the 5th step is what call it here the conditional, whereas then we want to frame our prayers with an idea that Hashem only answer the prayer if it's good for everybody concerned. Because, you might pray for something that's good for you and bad for somebody else, like your spouse or somebody you don't know. So always that our prayer should always be in alignment with the general good, the greater good of all humanity in the world. So that's an asterisk, a conditional on our prayer. And then the last step is thanking God for the time of prayer. Now, that looks like a lot of work, right? 6 things, but it doesn't have to be. It could be 6 lines. God, you are great. God, thank you for everything you've given me. God, I have this problem. Please help me. God, I need you. Only you can answer, figure this out. Only you can help me. And God, but it should only be for the good of everyone involved. And thank you for this prayer. Thank you for the gift of prayer. Thank you for letting me talk to you. Thank you for reminding me that you exist. And there's a prayer. Now, because we started off this unit about chidushim, creativity in Torah, which, by the way, this creativity you might be a painter listening to this story and this Torah of Rabbi Nachman, and you might decide, I'm going to paint something different, or a sculptor, or a craftsman. It could be anything that you express your creativity through. Okay, so let's take a few minutes. Shouldn't take long to frame a little prayer, and then we'll see what we do next. So I'm beginning. I'm going to use the old-fashioned method of pen on paper.